I was going to edit this to show the cleaning, but that's pretty straightforward. All I did was dismantle the gearbox and clean all the parts one by one. So here I am putting it back together. How you going, everyone? Today we're going to be working on reassembling the gearbox for this DeWalt DC988 drill. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to show you how this thing is actually put together. That right there, assuming it puts this here, and I set this up on here, is everything that goes inside this casement. Can you see that? Yes. Everything that goes inside this casement, and there are clues all through this thing to determine how to put this together. It's quite remarkable, just the design, and it's almost like a universal language, really. You know, sort of the actual process by which these things go together. Let's see. There we go. And to demonstrate, I'm going to basically take all of this apart. Alright, just like this. I'm going to mix it all up like this. You're probably looking at it going, it's chaos. Trust me, there is a reason. Right, so this piece here, okay, so that there is actually the clutch. So as you're sort of going through your torque settings, that there pushes up against the detents that were on this here. So that's actually interesting. So that's interesting that they would put it on the other side. Right, but first what we're going to do is we're going to use this guy here, and we're going to index it into here, like that, right? And the next thing we're going to do is this guy here is part of the clutch mechanism, and I'm sure it's part of the hammer mechanism as well. That there's got to go on this side, right? But first, we want one of these guys. And you can see on here, if I'm actually pointing it at the camera, see these 4 little divots around here? They represent this thing here. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which means we know that this goes on this side, like this actually. Before we do that, I'm going to get my grease on. Get your grease on. And we're going to just put some grease on here like this. This here isn't actually like it's not like the best grease in the world, but it's a grease. It's a nice grease. I bet I've had this tub for like 14 years or something. You know, it's been so long since I've had this, and part of me really wants it to be like used up. Like part of me is thinking, just God, just wear out already. Right, and these teeth here index with these teeth in here, so in one of the gears that locks into place just there. And we're going to get some more grease, and we're going to just stuff it into these teeth just here, and just all around like this. Right. Then the smallest of these gears, which is this one here, they go on this side. So what we want is we want to just put some grease on these teeth just here, just a little bit, because there's already grease on here, and we're just going to There's our final gear, our final planet gear for this side, and that goes in here like this. Okay, so this part here, as you can see, this forged piece here, that slides into the axle, right? And this part here, we know that this is on this side because there's 5 gears, 5 pins, and that there is the mechanism for there. So we're just going to put some grease on here. Don't worry, the grease, you know, if I get the grease all wrong or all mixed up and stuff, you know, it's going to, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's going to sort of, you know, like move around and sort of, you know, really sort of give everything a good, even coating. But now we just want to try and, yep, and that there is there, like that. It's fitting in there quite nicely. Okay, so the next part is we want to put some grease just on here. And you can see there's a line just there. Can you see that? Yes. So there's a line just here and a line just there. And these two lines index with each other allows that to sit just in there like this. Do you see what I mean? You know, the parts, they're designed to fit together, you know, so, and these little markings and indicators and indexing points, you know, I'm just so fascinated with them because the whole process has just become so much easier, you know, just by following these little clues all over the place. That there, I believe, see, because there's one side that's rounded and one side that isn't. I'm going to assume that the rounded side goes there because maybe they would click in like into here, but that doesn't look fairly worn. We'll know for sure once we put it back together. Once we put it back together and try to run it. But these pins now just slide into here. Hopefully I haven't lost them all in trying, like in mushing all the pieces away to prove a point. But take a shot every time I clear my throat. Okay, now that's everything. Okay, so on this piece here, you've got 2 little tabs just here and 1 tab there. The reason being is because that 1 tab is missing to allow for this clutch pin to pass there. And we want to basically just try and there we go. So this half is done. Cool as. And now if we flip it over, we can see these here are the 2 pins that allows it to change gear. Oh, that feels real nice and smooth. And we can now deal with this side of the gear of the sprockets. Now, to deal with this side, this here, basically same thing, slips into here like this, and then I believe it's this one here that then goes into here. So yeah, So first of all, we've got to put some grease in here, drop this down, get our gears, our planet gears in, and then drop the sun gear down into there. So we'll just do that. We'll get some grease in here like this. Just so I like the fact that they've basically sort of made it so you can, you know, so it's easy for someone like me, and you know, it's for somebody who knows what it is that they're looking for, because if you don't really know what you're looking for, it becomes that much more difficult to, you know, to rebuild them. You have to sort of, it's the wonderful thing about you know, the advent of phone cameras, is that they give everybody the opportunity to, you know, look through their own database, you know, upon taking things apart, and be able to sort of see, yep, okay, I've got all the parts, I've got everything, it's all working. Okay, so we know that these shorter sprockets here are for the motor side. So there's 4 of these. We don't need to look at those right now. And this, we need to clean this up. Put some grease on the pins here so nothing is running dry and just sort of all over the part. You know, we can just sort of dump it in there. I'm sure there's somebody watching this going, "Ah, you're putting too much grease in there," but maybe. Hold on. She went in. Okay, so now we drop in this piece, right? And now we get these gears here, and we can drop those in like this. And there's 5. Now this part here, there we go. Cool, cool, cool. Coolios. Okay, now we've just got that gear. This gear. This gear. And this gear. Yep. Okay. Now we want this part here. We'll just use the grease that's on my hands at the moment. We'll just get that nice and covered. That drops down here, and this thing goes in there, like that. That there is our clutch. And we need to set that on something. Okay, that kind of works. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. So we're just. This is also really cool for holding things together. So we can. Oh, hang on. Yeah. So they actually face in this direction. Strangely enough. And we need 1, 2. This part here I think is going to be the most difficult. Not only because these pieces are like 3 separate parts, but also because they've got it indexed with this little bit of plastic. and of course the gear that's now got to slip into everything. Let's see. Come on. Okay, yes. So that's this. Now we've just got to get some grease onto here, like this. Sorry if you can't actually see that. Yeah, once we get all the grease in and all that sort of stuff, then we've just got to put the transmission back on, the switch, swap, drop it back into the other thingo. So that now goes into here, and to get this around, we've got to. There we go. That looks good. And now for this thing, which goes on here like that, holding everything in place. Alrighty. Now, that there is the bottom half. That, I'm thinking we should probably get a rag and clean all this grease off of here. But assuming that piece, that back plate doesn't come out, it should be good. It shouldn't come apart. I had a look online. You can actually get replacement gearboxes for these, but aside from the fact they're like $60, which is basically twice the value of the total of the drill in total, but the what do you call it? We'll leave that actually. But I mean, this one here was, again, you could basically just basically take it apart and put it back together. It's not hard. I did order new brushes for this drill though. They're like $10 with shipping. Okay, so that has got to go on here. And to do that, we've got to line these pins up. There's 2 on either side, as we know. So that is like that. And we need to go and you shouldn't have put all my tools away. Might need one. Just for this. Yeah, so both of those are in there like that. Oh, yes, okay, so make sure all these gears are working. Yep. Yes. So let's put it in the middle gear. This guy here, you can sort of see this side is a little slightly shorter than this one here. We're going to put the slightly shorter side here, like this. And well, actually, that goes like this. Detents into the body of the mechanism here. Now I'm thinking of just putting like a little thin layer of grease in here as well. I don't know if I should, but I'm going to anyway. And then it's going to be pretty straightforward putting this back together. You know, putting this back together and actually seeing whether or not it works, or if I haven't actually, you know, killed it. Okay, so that pin goes down there. Right now it's on gear 2. So to do this, we just rotate this. There we go. So 3, 2, 1. Yep. And now, if all else goes to plan, this should now slip into here. Alright, so this is low speed, high torque. Here's work. This is mid speed, mid torque. And then this is high speed, low torque. Okay, for some reason the hammer mode isn't working. And the clutch is still broken, so I was pretty well bang on. There's nothing really that I can do about the clutch. I'm not entirely sure why the hammer mechanism isn't working. But for the most part, she's working and she's back together. So to preface this, whenever you're dealing with these kinds of things, sometimes it might not go the way you want it to. Sometimes you might have to take it apart and put it back together again. And sometimes, like in this case, for what it's going to be doing, It's exactly what you want it to do. You might not even need to deal with it any further. But I've achieved what it is that I wanted to achieve with this drill, which was to basically get it to run as almost as good as new, which it's doing now. So you know, the gears work. Okay, the battery might be a little bit, but I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10. And you have a good one, YouTube.